Hello everyone and welcome to a current movie review. I'm Sean.
I'm Tennelle.
And we just got back from watching Frozen 2.
Yeah?
Huh.
Alright, you want me to take the floor on this one?
Hold on.
Okay.
So, you gave us a sequel to the movie that made you billions of dollars.
Yep.
And this is all you're giving us.
Wow. You really cut down to the core of it, didn't you?
Yeah. There's not like a crazy amount here. It's pretty simple broken down.
I'm really disappointed. And I don't feel like I was expecting a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. When the joke song sung by a character I wasn't expecting to sing a song.
I was expecting him to sing a song. I was not expecting it to be a 90s power ballad.
Yeah, when the 90s power ballad was the best part of your movie, you probably did something wrong along the way. Shock and surprise, we aren't super enthused about Disney doing sequels.
Yeah, okay. So, non-spoiler section.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody who hasn't seen this yet, we're gonna cover some non-spoilers, general thoughts, before we go into more spoiler territory.
The movie's pretty. They had a lot of
Well,
effect
okay,
animation.
wait. Don't say that in a demeaning tone, because if that is one reason to see this movie, that's it. There is a lot of spectacle in this movie, and this movie could not be made if not for the medium of animation. There's some amazing effects and cinematography going on here. There's a couple of scenes in particular I kind of want to talk about later on that are kind of edge of your seat, really cool stuff.
It's a very, very, very pretty film.
Yeah, it is. But as far as coming out of it though, I really...
It was kind of boring.
Well...
I don't know how to feel.
This is how I feel.
Okay.
I feel like this was a waste of Disney talent.
Yes.
Disney animators and story people and stuff are some of the best, you know? And because they spend the money to be the best. But this was a really bland story with characters that had absolutely nothing to do. Plot contrivance after plot contrivance.
This is the only way it's moving forward is because reasons.
Yeah,
and then if
just
you stop
some exposition put in there, just and not
then,
even in a suitable way. Just it's put in there just to get things moving, just to move the plot forward.
Here, we need to tell you this now because it's going to be important in about 3 seconds.
Yeah, 10 Oh, no.
Wait.
Now.
Now, okay.
Right now.
Right now, this is when this is important.
That's why we set it up just about 10 seconds ago. Yep.
We didn't think to set this up at the beginning.
As the movie got started, I'm like, oh man, this beginning is really rough. I hope that at least once they get all of this stuff established, we'll be smooth sailing from this point out.
No, they had to continue explaining stuff.
Never came. We got to the end of the movie, and I'm kind of like, wow, this is the end.
They were still explaining stuff 3 minutes ago.
Right. I'm like, oh, jeez. This is why Disney animation shouldn't do sequels, because these characters
didn't need to do this.
Frozen came out in 2013. 2013, and these characters already feel like such flanderized versions of themselves.
I mean, part of that is probably because they've already had 7 shorts, a 30-minute special that appeared before a movie it had no reason to be in front of. And everyone's bored to death of these characters. And this did not give them new life.
It's just You know, we didn't usually when we go into a sequel we rewatch the first film, so that we can like just refresh ourselves and then go into the sequel, so that we can kind of compare and contrast. And I feel like I remember Frozen pretty well. You're a little more like, I don't know, I've only seen it once
or twice, maybe
or twice
at most.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I feel like I still remember it fairly well.
I think Frozen, the first film, has only kind of gotten worse as time has gone on. And who knows, maybe in another 5-10 years, it'll feel like the best thing ever again. But for the time that it came out in Disney's lineup of movies, it was a good movie. Due to its effect on pop culture and then the other Disney movies that have come out a little bit before and since then, almost everything has been better than Frozen.
Yeah.
Besides, well, what was really great about the original Frozen was the characters and the emotional beats. And
Worked.
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't matter so much that the story's a little weak. The music was obviously something that really carried it too. The music
like one or two specific songs.
Yeah, like, it had some bangers. The problem is with this film, I feel like that emotional connection to these characters, the emotional beats,
Wasn't there.
were not there at all. The characters are emoting and saying things, and I just don't feel any of it. A lot of this story depends on how you feel about characters that aren't really part of the main cast, and the movie never gives enough time to actually develop those characters because it's also wanting to play fan service by constantly using the characters from the original film, which is a lot of characters, so they give all these characters things to do. And none of these things are interesting, and they feel so forced.
I don't think this is a spoiler to say that Olaf gets a song, Sven gets a song.
Kristoff gets
a song, not Sven. I get them confused. They're the same person. Anna gets a song. Elsa gets 2 songs. Plus, there's like an ensemble song at the beginning.
There's a lot of music, and it's not bad. In fact, I would say the quality of the songs in this film are probably better than the first. Like overall quality.
Overall, yes, the quality is better here. But a lot of them feel unneeded and kind of shoved in there.
For the sake of doing another big musical number. And there are so many big musical numbers in this movie that end with a da-da,
and now
boom.
Yeah. And now we stop. We stop the movie to do a big musical number. Even if we're technically progressing the plot, we're doing a big musical number now. Hold on to your butts because this one's gonna wow ya. Every single time.
And they're all just okay, except for the one we already talked about. The 90s power ballad is easily my favorite song from this movie.
Oh, absolutely. And just because it's a stupid joke.
It's pretty good, okay? I have nothing bad to say about that other than it is so stupid, but that's why I love it.
What is that one song that it just made me think of? You know what love is meant to be.
Yeah. The kind of love that lasts forever. Yeah, it kind of, it's a 90s power ballad.
I can't think of what that song is called.
Until the end of time.
You should know everywhere I go.
Always on my mind, in my heart, in my soul.
Baby, you're the reason in my life. You're the inspiration. There we go.
We got there eventually.
Inspiration, and you're my inspiration or something. It felt like that song, except new.
Again,
Elsa gets new accessories. Like, way too many.
Elsa changes her outfit so many times. There's so...
Not just accessories, as in clothing. I mean, like, accessories and, like, new toys to sell.
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. There's a lot of marketing going on. There's a hilarious bit of marketing I need to talk in the spoiler section about. Because, like, it's a one-scene thing, and I'm like, wow, did you really just do that to justify this thing I know you're doing, Disney? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. I love it.
There's another scene that didn't need to be there. I mean, that's a lot of this movie.
I feel like we can't even talk about the general plot at all, because so much of it...
It's hinged on what happened. What happened in the past? That's like the whole plot of the movie.
This movie wants to build up, like,
big
lore.
mystery.
Like, lore and mystery.
And it doesn't really
it's
work.
So flimsy and not interesting.
Yeah.
Like, especially once you find out what it is, you're like...
Oh, that's really simple. And, like,
And doesn't
pretty obvious, honestly.
Answer any questions?
It actually raises more questions of why.
Yeah.
I'm now eternally confused as to what the hell.
And then... I'm gonna just say this, but I can't really explain why this is without going into spoilers. But there are zero stakes to this movie.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Like this movie throughout the whole thing wants you to believe that everything's changing. Nothing after this will be the same. And let me tell you, that is very, very misleading, because there's very little that does not stay the same by the end of this movie.
Like, sure, there's elements that change. Elsa gets accessories.
Elements that change.
Okay, that's it. That's the spoiler-free section. If you want to go watch it, sure.
Yeah, I would still recommend this, because, like, it's still a beautiful film. If you're not tired of the Frozen cast, they're here doing their thing. I don't feel an emotional connection to them, but that could just be us. Because we haven't really felt an emotional connection to them since that first film.
Yeah.
So if you liked Frozen Fever, if you liked the Olaf's
Christmas special
thing, like, this will probably still be good in your eyes, you know. And the music's good. Music's good. A lot of fun visuals.
They obviously tried really, 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 really hard for you to want to listen to this music.
Well, and I know a lot of people in the animation community, you know, we've been seeing these trailers and we've been like, oh shit, you know, like, this seems kind of, like, it's got a serious tone to it.
It did. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything with that tone. It is all smoke and mirrors when it comes to having a more serious tone and story. There is nothing here that is taking animation a step further into something more serious.
Yeah, no. In fact, it kind of mocks seriousness, and I don't really care for that.
Oh, I have a big problem with the climax, but okay, let's jump into spoiler section.
But before we get to spoilers, we're going to talk about new trailers. We saw the Soul trailer.
Oh no, we have to talk about Soul. Have we talked about Onward? Yeah, we've talked about Onward.
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about the new Onward trailer, where we actually see a bit of the plot.
Okay, so...
I feel nothing.
So we saw trailers for both Onward and Soul, and I am so disappointed in both of these projects so far. Obviously, you can't judge them too harshly on their trailers, but Onward...
I feel nothing. It feels...
so hollow.
Feels so generic because...
Is there something wrong with us? Like, what is with this trailer? But I don't think so, because I see a lot of people have that complaint about it.
They're like, it's generic fantasy in modern day. We've done this a million times already. Pixar is not wowing us with a new universe. It's just, it feels very basic because we are sick to death of basic fantasy. And putting in modern day is not a twist.
No.
That's just today.
Yeah.
cool. And a lot of people are like, the character designs are very samey.
Yeah, the character designs are really...
Just like we've seen these same character designs a million times in Pixar films in the past, like, 5 to 10 years.
Visually, it just feels so
boring.
Stunted and, like, we've seen this before.
Nothing...
And we know Pixar can do better than this. Like...
They've done it over and over again. But not recently, it feels like.
No, like they've kind of fallen into the same art direction.
Coco was good. Coco was really good.
Coco was good. But I don't want to see this same style. I don't want to see a Pixar style.
Speaking of which.
Bring in other people, bring in new people, and have someone really shake up your art direction.
Speaking of which, let's talk about Soul. The trailer starts. It's an African-American man. He is all about soul music. He wants to be part of a jazz ensemble.
He's got some kind of important gig coming up.
We're seeing like these hyper-realistic like settings, and it's all golden and brown, and it feels great.
The art direction's different.
It's so good.
It's not different by a lot, but it's different enough to feel really fresh. And
it's
I
like,
really am
cool.
into it.
We have a movie about like black people and stuff like that.
And
That's
soul music? Hell yeah!
This sounds
I love
great.
It.
And then the main character falls down a well, and then he
presumably dies. He's in a coma.
Now we have this little fluff ball thing that is his soul, and the whole trailer derails.
Oh.
It's like, what did you guys do?
Why?
You were doing something great, and now this feels like an Inside Out character. This universe, or whatever this location is, doesn't feel inspired. It's quite bland, and the character looks
big
really
black void. I mean, okay.
Generic cartoony.
Yeah, I like the effect on it. Like the colors are really cool, but
I just wanted the real life, please.
Yeah,
that would have been great.
Well, and then we gotta talk about the fact that, you know, every time there's people of color,
minority character
as people of color as a main character, and then they end up getting transformed into something else really early on in the movie, and then the whole movie is spent not with a person of color, but
other than their voice.
Other than their voice. They are now an animal or a blob soul thingy. And it's fine every once in a while to do something like that, but why does this only ever seem to happen to people of color getting transformed into something, and so that we aren't spending the whole movie with the person of color? That's not how it should be, and it's so lazy to keep using this as a way to have people of color in movies. Just have a person of color as a lead in a movie and don't make them change into something else. It's not that hard. Like
The Princess and the Frog, good movie. But every single person of color, it gets turned into something else. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
So those will be happening next year.
Well, and don't forget we have Spies in Disguise coming up.
Yeah, and they do the exact same thing there. Person of color turns into a pigeon.
Yep. Cool.
All right. Cool.
Thanks.
All right, let's talk about
spoilers
Back to Frozen 2. If you don't want this, get out.
Yeah, go see the movie yourself and then come back
here. Yeah.
Okay. So the plot of this movie is that Elsa's hearing a voice calling her to this other land near Arendelle, the mystical woods or whatever,
where the elements of fire, water, earth, and air used to coexist harmoniously with the people of the land. And then Arendellian people came in, and then something went bad, and the elements went bad, and now there's a big fog wall, no one can get in or out.
So Elsa hears the call, everybody gets together, and they go into the fog and they find out the people are still living there. There's still Arendelle soldiers that are in there.
Mm-hmm.
And
for like 35 years or something, essentially.
Yeah.
They said like 34 years,
30
amount of months, days, whatever.
35 years. They're all still in there fighting?
And that just makes me so confused.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't really establish that they're fighting, but...
They're not talking to each other. They're not getting along.
Like, presumably, the 4 Arendelle soldiers just kind of sit there.
For 35 years.
Because they're still
roughing it in the woods.
Still wearing the exact same clothes,
yeah.
same armor. You know, if they were there for 35 years, you'd think they would have, like...
done something.
Cohesively started to coexist with the people that they're stuck with in the woods.
Right, because you're both in a bad situation.
Yeah,
so...
you're all screwed over here.
Yeah, so the people of the woods,
they're fighting for some reason.
Well, the people of the woods used to, like, live alongside the elemental spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And then ever since this thing happened, the spirits have been out of control and yet again, question
attacking
mark?
People? Question mark?
But it's not really. It's just like if the elements see them, they attack. They're restless.
It's never explained.
Yeah.
Just how out of whack the elements actually are, because they really only seem to interact with Elsa.
Mm-hmm. There is so much going on in this movie. Okay, so...
But so little.
Additionally, so Elsa feels the call to action. She has to go fix this. Anna wants to do everything she can to protect Elsa because she feels like Elsa's going to do something.
And get herself killed.
Trying to resolve this conflict.
So Elsa,
the reason that these two know about this whole conflict to begin with and kind of have an idea about where to go is because at the beginning of the movie, we get a flashback with...
where Mom and Dad lore dump about that whole situation. Where Daddy was there as a
child.
A 10 to 15-year-old or something.
Right. And somehow he got out.
Well, yeah, he got out somehow, and that's part of the mystery. Someone saved him. Who could it be? Who knows? Well, your mom is great. I love her a lot.
Uh-huh.
Wink.
Wink. But that still doesn't explain how they got out.
No! It absolutely doesn't explain how they got out. Yeah, Mom saves Dad. She pretends she's not from the forest for years.
A lot of this movie hinges on you having some sort of emotional connection to Anna and Elsa's parents, which is just not there at all. But the movie, like, stops and goes like, wow, isn't the fact that they're dead really sad? Like, 5 to 10 times this happens. And Anna and Elsa, like, are crying, and you're just like... I don't care. I don't know who they are. Are you going to, like, actually give me any reasons to care about who they are?
Nope, you only get to find out points about them that revolve around Elsa, because that's a thing about this movie. It bends over backwards to revolve every plot point around Elsa. And then we try to fit Anna in there too, I guess.
Anna has nothing to do but
except be an emotional mess.
Worry about Elsa. And then poor Kristoff has...
literal nothing to do.
He's been saddled with the worst subplot ever, which
I'm trying to propose.
I'm trying to propose to Anna, and I keep messing it up.
And then that's where his power ballad comes in.
Yeah, because Anna's left, and so Kristoff gets, like, shoved off screen for a little while after his power ballad.
And then, like, we don't see him until the climax again.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So...
Olaf has this really, really
weird
bizarre plot about wanting to be wiser with age, or the fact that, like, he's a kid so he doesn't understand what's going on.
I don't understand what this is supposed to be.
It's bad. chatting. That's what it is.
Yeah, so he sings a song about how when he's walking through the woods and elements are trying to attack him, he's like, I'm sure this will all make sense in the future when I'm older.
Right.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No,
Stop.
this isn't even really funny. It just kind of, this exists.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things that's like very pandering towards the parents in the audience, which you're missing the point with Olaf. Like, Olaf should be the one pandering to kids, but okay.
So Elsa keeps hearing this voice that keeps calling her farther and farther and farther and farther and farther north.
They find the ship
where their
Where the parents died.
Because spoilers, I guess, for the first
we're in
movie?
the spoiler section.
Spoilers, I guess, for the first movie.
They died.
They die in the South Sea.
But
No, they didn't die in the South Sea. They died in the North Sea. Because they were trying to go to Mystical River that supposedly maybe gave Elsa all of her powers to begin with. So they're trying to seek Elsa's secret past and die.
Yeah, okay. One, I gotta say, I am going to love seeing all the people who are going to be super butthurt about this movie because it's going to break
There's stupid Disney theories about Tarzan's parents being Elsa's parents as well.
and them actually dying on their way to go see Rapunzel in Eugene's wedding. Yeah.
Just all of this dumb garbage. Who cares?
I cannot, I am living for all the people who are going to be like, my fanfic. Anyway, speaking of fanfic, back to this movie.
Yes. So Elsa tames the wind by freezing it to death, and then they just have a little whisper of wind following them.
Yeah. Okay.
The elementals are bad, okay? I hate the elementals.
Wait. The elementals are like the most bullcrap exposition devices I've seen in quite a while.
They don't do anything.
Olaf has this theory that he's pulled straight out of his butt, and he mentions at some point throughout the movie, he's like, did you know water has memories? Don't question this. This is just going to be a thing.
This is our through line for the whole movie.
Yeah, like, without this piece of the puzzle, this whole thing falls apart. So, you just have to believe him. Water has memories. And thanks to water having memories, Elsa is able to freeze the water and see visions of the past.
Yeah.
I mean, you already had the troll guys who, like, did this kind of magic thing.
Yeah. So, no, Elsa just has super Mondo magic powers. Bullshit ice magic forever. You just deal with it. Yeah. She also tames the fire spirit.
Which is a little lizard for some reason to sell toys.
Alright, yeah, it's obviously to sell toys. It's a little chameleon thing. I know why they chose this form. Maybe. Okay, so...
I'm with you here.
Worms from ancient mythology, where dragons generally came from, are...
He's like a salamander.
Yeah, he's a giant fiery salamander.
But he's little.
But he's a tiny little gecko thing, so he's fire elemental lizard. Sure, okay.
This is so disappointing.
Here's my accessory toy. My animal companion.
This is so disappointing because, like, this goes nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they introduce this little salamander, and he does nothing.
They don't even give it a name.
No, he doesn't even have a name.
They even name the wind, which is invisible. They name it Gale.
Yeah. I mean, like, we've all been joking. It's like, oh, well, all that fiery stuff, it's gonna turn out like that's Anna's powers. But no. Like, honestly, I kind of wish that would have happened instead.
Yeah, anything.
Like, it would have been something to go off of. It would have been a change to the status quo.
Yeah. No, instead, Anna gets salamander friend. She also wrangles
No, it's really only Elsa's friend.
Sorry, did I say Anna?
Yeah.
Elsa gets salamander pet. She tames the water horse.
Yeah,
she befriends the rock giants, because of course they're rock giants. It's always rock giants. You can't do anything else with rock other than
Giants.
Giants.
Yeah. But, okay, that was the one scene I wanted to talk about. So, that was the trailer fodder, was Elsa running into the sea, and then, like, this magical horse showing up, and it had everybody being like, oh, I want to say, like, that is the only scene with that kind of, like, color grading. Mm-hmm. Like, it's the only scene that takes on that kind of, like, realistic, dark... Gray tone.
The rest of it's mostly, like, misty orange.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the color palette, like, of this movie is, like, really pretty.
Oh, yeah.
But... based on that trailer, you would believe that, like, there's going to be more moments in the movie like this. Mm-hmm. There's not. It's this scene, but this scene is really cool. Like, even while watching it in the theater, I recommend going to the theater to go see this because, holy crap, it's just really excellent. Mm-hmm. And, like,
the water effects and ice effects are
it's like
fantastic.
When Elsa falls down into the waves and, like, all that ice is around her, I was like I physically winced.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
you're like, oh, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, you're like, oh, God, that's gotta be cold and rough. And, you know, we've already had, like, a million speeches from Anna about how Elsa's gonna kill herself doing all this. So, like, you really feel like, oh, gosh, Elsa's really putting herself out there. But, then this scene is followed by Elsa fighting this water horse, and damn, like,
that was great.
That was awesome. Like,
yeah. Honestly, that was a really cool fight scene.
Like, yet again, with the power ballad and these are the two scenes where I have, like, zero complaints. They were amazing visual candy and just, like, a spectacle to watch.
Yes.
One of the coolest fight scenes I've ever seen because it's a magical girl and a magical water horse fighting on huge, angry ocean waves. And it is badass. Mm-hmm. But she then...
okay, she kind of... it derails.
Gets worse. It derails because she, like, immediately tames it after the fight.
Of course she does. It's a horse. She's gonna tame the horse. So now she has... new Elsa Barbie with horse.
With magical water
and little
horse.
gecko friend. Yeah. Also, new dress.
Yes.
So, I just want to say, that scene also reminded me, because I, for some reason, didn't think about it, because you don't think about it. Elsa doesn't wear clothes.
Oh, yeah.
She's only wearing ice particles that are supposed to look like clothes ever.
Yeah. I had the same moment in the theater where she, like, takes off the cape thing and her boots, and she's, like, getting ready to run in and stuff, and I'm like, wait a second.
Looking at the differentiation between her shoulders and, like, the top part of her chest, her body just kind of fades into blue and, like, crystalline bits.
Yeah.
Oh, right. She's just covered her body in ice.
She somehow makes clothes out of her powers, which is awesome. But, like...
she's running around naked, essentially.
No, she's not.
I mean, she's not, but it's just like... right.
Yeah, it was a moment that took me out, too, because I was just, like, staring at her neckline, then I'm like, wow, Elsa, put some clothes on.
Yeah, it's like, yes, I know ice doesn't affect you at all, but, like,
right.
Geez. Oh, speaking of which, can I take this next part?
Okay, wait. Before you take this next part and we get into more of the climax of the movie, there's this other thing that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
So, Anna has to do this, or Elsa has to do this all alone, because she's, like, she's sent Anna away because she doesn't want her getting killed, blah, 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 blah. So...
you're not magical, you'll slow me down.
Essentially. So Anna and Olaf are traveling down this river. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Not entirely sure, but I have a feeling.
So, in Walt Disney World, Epcot, there's the Normandy Pavilion.
Okay.
The Normandy Pavilion used to have a boat ride, a dark boat ride, called Maelstrom.
Maelstrom.
And since Frozen was released... the Normandy Pavilion has been overrun with Frozen. And it's been kind of like a hot button topic for people who are really into the parks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, give it a few years, and the Maelstrom ride was shut down and replaced...
turned into a Frozen ride.
And turned into a Frozen ride.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just gotta laugh because I feel like I can say this without a shadow of a doubt that this scene in this movie was included to justify the new Frozen ride at Walt Disney World Epcot Normandy Pavilion.
Were there sleeping rock giants on the Maelstrom ride?
Maybe. We haven't been on it, but
Okay.
I know that essentially what it was just like a retelling of Frozen while you're on a boat ride.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years it gets a little update again, and
Where
it's
more
like
Frozen 2?
Yeah, it's like Anna's wild boat ride or whatever like that.
Okay.
And it includes like a little waterfall and stuff. But like this river scene happens. They go out of their way to hit the river.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they didn't have to. Elsa didn't send them down a river. Like, they went out of their way to go down river.
Yep.
And then they go down a waterfall. And then it's done.
Then they're in a cave.
And then it's done. Like they didn't need to go that way. Which is why I feel very confident in saying that was put there for that specific reason.
Okay.
Anyway, continue on to the climax of the movie.
Okay, this goes places.
Mm-hmm.
So, Elsa's been hearing this voice that's been calling her farther and farther and farther and farther north. She's like, who is it? Who's calling me? Who is it? I know that I belong with whoever it is that's calling me. And then she goes into the special river, which is frozen because, of course, it is. And it's like, oh, it's a glacier. It's a frozen river. She goes inside, and inside is a giant magical thing that she resets and puts it all back together. It's a new ice castle.
I knew we were too far into the movie for it to go this route.
Introduce a new character?
Hold on. But, I was waiting for the story to actually become the Snow Queen somehow.
Yeah, where, the Snow Queen
Because yet
showed
again,
up.
at the end of this movie, they're based on The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen.
And it's
I'm
this still has nothing to do with the Snow Queen.
Nothing to do with the Snow Queen. And I was really hoping Frozen 2 from all the trailers and stuff. I'm
would
like,
actually do something.
Is it going to actually do the Snow Queen? But no. No, the plot has nothing to do with the Snow Queen.
So she goes into this whole room, and then she makes 4 colored pieces of ice that represent the 4 other elements and sticks them into the special slots in the ground, and then steps on the thing, and it makes a big ice snowflake, and then it's just a big dome with scenes from her life, and the voice was her mother calling.
She took a dive to the heart.
From the past.
Maybe.
Something, what? It was her mom calling her, and the 5th element that was missing all along was Elsa with ice.
What?
So because back in the past there was supposedly some sort of 5th element that stopped the fighting and put everything to peace, and it's supposedly someone that's calling Elsa to come and put everything back together. But no, it is Elsa, which doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what the movie is
Trying to say. Yeah, I'm really confused.
Uh-huh.
But then she also now has the ability to just make snow sculptures to look into the past. And so she goes into the past and sees that, the leader of Arendelle, her dad's dad, her grandfather, set up this dam to screw with the forest people and tried to do it as a peace treaty just so he could get in and kill them all because they worship magic.
Yeah.
So they need to destroy the dam to turn everything back to normal. Also, Elsa dove too deep into the ice world, and now she frozen is dead.
Yeah. Which
What?
they quote unquote set up with her mom's lullaby, where it's like, oh, be careful, if you dive too deep,
You'll drown.
you'll drown. But there's no consequence to this. Elsa even hears it. She's like, if you dive too deep, you'll drown. And she's like, well, screw it. I've got to dive deeper or else we're not going to figure this out.
We're not going to figure out the past, which is what we're doing or whatever.
So she does it anyway.
So, yeah.
And then she dies. But, like, spoilers, of course she doesn't die.
Yeah. She sends a magical message made of ice to Elsa in the cave. To Anna in the cave. And tells her, hey, this is what happened in the past. I'm dead. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And the reason you know I'm dead is because Olaf has a death sequence in front of Anna. And I'm like, who cares? It's Olaf. Who is going to be sitting in the theater crying
because
about
Olaf
is dead?
He's a snowman. Oh man, what a mess.
So Anna riles up the earth elementals after singing herself a power ballad about it's okay to feel sad, but you just gotta take steps forward and you'll do better.
Right, because this is another theme they've tried to say throughout the movie, is that when everything falls apart, you just need to find a way to go and do the next right thing.
Yeah.
Which I like. I kind of wish that would have been the theme of the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like...
Another thing that's kind of in there, sort of.
It's very weak because the theme also implies that going on to do the right thing involves some kind of sacrifice. And yet again, there is zero sacrifice because the movie's already established that if they break open the dam, Arendelle is going to be completely flooded.
Yeah.
Which seems like a really poor move on past leader Arendelle guy to be like, haha, I'm going to screw over the native people by building them a dam in their territory so that if they really wanted to get back at us, they could just break the dam and
kill us all.
Us all.
I'm a genius.
So clever.
I'm a genius.
Yeah.
Also, he died in the past, so who cares?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because he absolutely lopped off the head of the leader of the forest people.
Which angered the elements, I guess, and that's how this all started.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Anna saves the day by angering the stone giants.
To throw giant stones and destroy the dam. Why these stone giants didn't do that 33 years ago,
right?
No one knows.
Because they say that, like, oh, it's because of the dam that the spirits are angry. I'm like, well,
then why didn't the elements... why didn't the spirits destroy the dam?
Your elements, like, you could have killed all of these people. You could have destroyed the dam, like...
They're rock giants. Who's gonna stop them?
Right, and what does Elsa being the fifth element have anything to do with taking care of any of this? Like, you didn't need her to get involved. You could have just taken out the dam.
Mm-hmm. So the rock giants destroy the thing. Elsa somehow unfreezes up in the super north. She gets on her horse and teleports down to the flooding waters that are about to hit Arendelle, which, mind you, was like the entire movie away.
Mm-hmm.
She gets there and lickety-split, freezes all the water, shoots it off in a different direction.
So Arendelle is saved.
Arendelle is saved, and no one dies, and all of the status quo can stay the same.
But even just to make sure that there was pretty much zero consequence for destroying Arendelle to begin with,
Olaf comes back to life.
Everybody who was already in Arendelle has already evacuated, and for some reason stayed evacuated
for like multiple
the whole
days.
length of the movie.
Yeah,
I'm just like, no one's gone back down to their homes. I
don't understand.
Okay. Cool. And there's no...
Olaf is brought back to life and still has all his memories because water remembers.
Yeah, well, good thing water has memories. So yeah, Olaf is brought back to life, of course. Elsa's back to life.
Kristoff finally proposes. Anna's like, hell yeah. Elsa's like, here, have my stupid queen job. I don't want it. I'm gonna be medium to the elements and live in my ice castle way far away from everyone like I wanted to do in the first movie.
Why?
But now I have pet salamander and horse and
the
like
people of the land.
I kind of talk to sometimes.
Even though I didn't know why.
I mean, technically they still like interact and stuff because
Right.
Anna's like, hey, make sure to come over for charades on Friday. This movie didn't need to exist. Shock and surprise.
Yeah, shock and surprise. But it just, like,
It doesn't do anything.
I was really hoping for something. And unfortunately, other than those few scenes that I unabashedly love, I'm so confused about what happened here.
Elsa is great.
I'm not because like they obviously had nowhere to go with these characters.
Oh, yeah.
Frozen had a hard time knowing where to go with these characters. That movie was in production hell for for years. And even before Frozen was being made, the idea of doing a Snow Queen adaptation had been in production hell for decades. Walt had wanted to do a Snow Queen adaptation. And no one could ever figure out a decent story to, like, a decent way to
adapt it.
Yeah, to adapt the story. And, like, these characters just, they were made for Frozen. They were made for that story. Everything about their characterization
started and ended with that movie.
Right. And going past that, trying to elaborate on any of these characters just really doesn't work because they don't have anything else to do outside of their movie. They barely had enough content to fit that movie.
This movie also tries to introduce two teenagers that are about Anna, Elsa, and Kristoff's age that are from the native people. And they briefly mention their name, and the only thing else that we know about them is the guy also speaks to reindeer.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's so many new characters in this movie, but this movie is not interested in exploring them as characters in the slightest. Like, maybe someone working on the team, you know, has a lot of headcanons and stuff about, or wishes that there was things that they did with these characters. Maybe at some point these characters had a bigger role in the story, but as is, it's just kind of like, why'd you pay voice acters and animators to put these characters in? Because they're just
They just
a waste
kind of
of time.
sit there and do nothing.
Yeah, they're just kind of a waste of your resources. They're not doing anything. Like, they don't even have a moment in the plot where, like, the whole village comes together and helps save the day. Like, they just do absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Disney, please, please, please stop making sequels. I know this movie's probably going to make a lot of money. The soundtrack alone is probably going to
Make an egregious amount of money.
yeah, make enough money to cover their cost, but, like, there's just not a whole lot here. Which is really unfortunate. I want to see Disney does its best when it brings people in and they tell the stories they want to tell. Be them fairy tales of the past, be it, you know, original stories or stories based on, you know, old books or whatever. If Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet wasn't good, Frozen 2 is left a lot to be desired. Just please work on new ideas. Do not do sequels.
Which I believe
it is a
what
waste of your talented team's time.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is what they're planning on doing for the next couple years.
I know that's been the statement that Pixar has given.
Oh, that was Pixar? Okay.
Yeah, Pixar has recently said that after Toy Story 4, they want to do mostly original stories again, which I'm glad to hear. But then there was also, okay, wait, I do have to talk about this because I've kind of heard about this, but I need to look more into it. At the end of this movie, there was a special thanks given to Pete Docter, Brad Bird, and Andrew Stanton as part of Disney's Story Trust team. What is that? I need to do more research into this, but like, that sent all kinds of red flags up for me. I'm like, I do not like the sound of this at all. Granted, I like those storytellers.
Okay.
You know, but like, why does Disney have a group of very successful guys who have already made a lot of good movies as part of a Disney Story Trust team? Can't they just let their storytellers for the project tell the story they want? Why do they need to be supervised by and given special thanks to these three guys?
Mm-hmm.
That just seems like a way of taking credit away from people who are actually working on the project.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't get a big on-screen, like, thank you, but it was just there at the end of the credits, just like, thank you to the Disney Story Trust team, and I don't think I like that. Anyway, I think that's going to be it.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this movie for like 50-some minutes or so yeah, that seems like a good amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
The
takeaway from this is that this movie isn't garbage, it's just disappointing. It's got a lot of good stuff in it, but it's not got anything really great.
I think one way to look at it is it has a lot of good individual scenes that are unrelated to anything else that goes on.
Because the whole movie's kind of unrelated to itself.
Like individual scenes are good and well animated and very pretty and sometimes have good jokes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But as a whole,
as a plot, it doesn't work that great.
Yeah. Which is just too bad.
Mm-hmm.
You hate to see it. I don't want to have to say that after watching a movie, you know? Especially after watching a Disney movie.
Yeah.
So next time I think we've got Spies in Disguise, I think is the next movie we have coming up.
Wait.
Because isn't that December?
Wait, I think the Playmobil might be
finally coming
hitting.
out.
I don't know what movie we're watching next, but I think it's Playmobil on December 8th.
We'll have to double check.
Don't ask me on that. I'm not going to put anything on screen. If you want to tell us in the comments, go right ahead. We will also have already checked by that point.
Yeah, we'll double check.
Uh-huh. It'll come out when it comes out. Or the next review will come out when it's... Yeah.
Let us know what you thought of Frozen 2 down below.
Mm-hmm.
And have an excellent day.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.